What do you think he kills with those?
Anything that swims. Visto il giornale today.
Ugh, that photo's a fake, Papa. Everyone in Portorosso pretends to believe in sea monsters.
Pixar's Luca 2021 charmed audiences with its lighthearted yet meaningful tale of sea monsters Luca Paguro and Alberto Scorfano exploring life on land in Portorosso. While its ending felt satisfying, it left several unanswered questions, making fans eager for a sequel. Director Enrico Casarosa even noted that the story was pitched with potential for expansion, fueling speculation. Despite debuting directly on Disney Plus instead of theaters, the film gained strong reviews and a loyal fanbase. Its unresolved mysteries like Alberto's family, Uncle Hugo, and Luca's future at school make Luca 2 feel not only possible but also a perfect chance to continue the story. One of the most emotional threads in Luca had to do with Alberto's family. When we first met him, he says his father is away, but as the story unfolds, Alberto admits that his dad had actually abandoned him a while ago. This abandonment explains so much about his personality, his independence, his tough exterior, and even his fear of being rejected when Luca briefly betrays him. By the end, Alberto finds a new father figure in Massimo Marcovaldo, Julia's fisherman dad, and that's touching. But still, the question remains, what really happened to Alberto's biological father? Why did he leave? And is there any chance he might come back? A sequel could take that thread and expand it, either letting Alberto confront his past or by introducing the missing parent in some unexpected way. It would not only deepen Alberto's character arc, but also give more emotional weight to the bond he shares with Massimo. Another puzzling deal in the movie revolves around the town bully, Ercole Visconti. He's funny in a slimy sort of way, but his presence raises questions that Luca never really answers. For instance, how is he allowed to keep entering the Portorosso Cup race even though he's clearly too old? The townsfolk seem to dislike him, so why don't they just disqualify him? One possible explanation is that Ercole comes from money. His fancy bike, his Vespa, and even his obsession with material things all point to the idea that his family might be wealthy. If that's the case, it would explain how he gets away with bending the rules. A sequel could dig into this more, maybe even showing his family background and why he clings so tightly to childish victories instead of moving on with his life. It could turn him from a one-dimensional bully into a more layered rival, which could make for an interesting subplot in Luca 2. Then there's the strange and hilarious figure of Uncle Hugo. Played brilliantly by Sacha Baron Cohen, Hugo was both disturbing and funny at the same time. His translucent body, glowing lure, and creepy deep-sea lifestyle made him unforgettable, but after his brief scene, he disappears only to reappear in a quick post-credits gag. That leaves a big question: what happened to him? Did he just swim back into the depths, never to be seen again? Or could he have more to contribute to Luca's story? Hugo is such a bizarre character that a sequel could really use him for comic relief but also to expand the lore of sea monsters. That leads to another mystery. Is Hugo actually a different species of sea monster? He looks and behaves so differently from Luca's family and other sea monsters we meet. His glowing lure suggests he's adapted to life in the deep ocean, which raises fascinating possibilities. Are there multiple kinds of sea monsters, each adapted to different environments? Could there be an entire society of Hugo-like creatures living far below? A sequel could really expand the mythology of the sea monsters by exploring this. It would also give Pixar room to get creative with new designs, cultures, and stories about the undersea world. Speaking of sea monsters living among humans, Luca ends by revealing that there are actually more of them disguised as people in Portorosso. This twist opens up a huge question: just how many sea monsters are secretly living on land? Luca's grandmother even hints at this by saying she knows others who live quietly in the human world. That means Alberto's father could potentially be out there in disguise, and it also suggests that Luca might meet more of his kind while at school in Genova. A sequel could dive into this mystery, showing how many sea monsters have blended into human society and what that means for Luca as he figures out his own identity. There's also the question of what sea monsters actually eat. When Luca and Alberto eat dinner at Julia's house, they happily devour Massimo's cooked fish, which seems strange if you think about it. Wouldn't eating fish be odd for creatures who live underwater among them? Luca's family keeps goatfish like pets, yet they don't seem to eat them. It's a detail the first movie brushes past, but a sequel could play with it more, maybe using humor to explore what sea monsters really eat and how their diets change when they live on land. Of course, one of the biggest questions the ending leaves us with is about Luca himself. At the end of the movie, he goes off to Genova with Giulia to attend school, while Alberto stays behind in Portorosso to apprentice with Massimo. It's a heartfelt ending that shows both boys following their dreams, but it naturally makes you wonder, what happens to Luca at school? The credits give us a few hints, like Luca being open about his sea monster identity with his classmates, but we don't actually get to see how that plays out in full. In a bigger city, Luca might face new challenges and new forms of prejudice, but he also might discover more acceptance and even meet other sea monsters who live there. Luca 2 could use this as a major story arc, showing how Luca balances his studies, his friendships, and his identity. On the flip side, we also have to wonder about Alberto. Why didn't he go with Luca to school? The movie suggests that he isn't really invested in studying since he's more adventurous and practical. His bond with Massimo gives him a new sense of belonging, so staying behind makes sense for him. But still, a sequel could show how Alberto's life unfolds in Portorosso. Does he grow into a fisherman like Massimo? Does he finally confront his fear of abandonment? And most importantly, how does he keep his friendship with Luca alive even though they're apart? These are the kinds of emotional questions a sequel could explore beautifully. Another thing worth noting is how Luca uses a common Disney and Pixar trope, the idea of close friends parting ways at the end. We've seen it in Toy Story 4 with Woody and Buzz, and in Frozen 2 with Elsa leaving Arendelle. Sometimes fans don't love this trope because it feels like a betrayal of the bond that the story spent so long building. But in Luca, it works differently. Since Luca and Alberto only just met in the first movie, the story is really about how they grow and how their paths naturally diverge. Their separation isn't about breaking the friendship, it's about honoring who they are and what they want. A sequel could continue this theme, showing that even when friends take different paths, their bond can still remain strong. The charm of Luca lies in how it celebrates friendship while allowing space for growth. The ending doesn't erase the importance of Luca and Alberto's connection. Instead, it shows how each boy follows his heart while still holding on to what matters. In Luca 2, we could see how that plays out in the long run. Maybe Luca faces challenges in school that make him appreciate Alberto even more. Maybe Alberto finds himself wishing to visit Genova to see how Luca is doing. Or maybe they both discover new dreams but keep their friendship alive through letters, visits, and the memories of their summer in Portorosso. The first movie already gave us a heartfelt message about identity, courage, and belonging, but a sequel could dig deeper into those themes while answering all the lingering questions. Alberto's father, Hugo's origins, Ercole's background, Luca's life at school, and the secret world of sea monsters living among humans. If Pixar does decide to make Luca 2, it has plenty of material to work with, and fans would finally get to see the next chapter of a story that already feels rich with possibility. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay in the loop, and if you want, you can share your thoughts about this video in the comments.